not doing blackface for the next one. And that's right where the recording started. Fantastic.
Were you making fun of another Italian people maybe last time when you started the recording?
We played. I've played several online campaigns. One with my buddy Mike from down here, and either he or I would usually make some really bad joke. And we both have government jobs, so we are glad that we don't have an audience.
Oh, I've been tweeting this out to everybody.
Excellent. Make sure you include the president in it, because it'll get exposure that way.
Yeah, we totally want Trump and the entire United States to know about our plot to kill.
Froghemoths.
What were they? Froglings or
Froghemoths?
Froghemoths.
I could announce the Pledge of Allegiance. I could recite the Pledge of Allegiance, and you could both kneel, and that would be sure to get him to tweet about our goings on here.
Then all of our viewers will boycott our broadcast.
Our viewer of me watching the last half hour only. No.
I started watching the last session as I was like counting out drawers and stuff at work. I use my computer to do math because I'm dumb, and I started watching the first little bit of it. So if you had one view, it was that. All right, very good. Well, hopefully this video also gets that one view. Yeah.
I'm going to just start putting ads in that first 10 minutes in the last half hour.
Perfect.
I think you need like a partnership to do that. I don't, and I go about that, but
we can make fake
4
products.
hands, chocolate milk stout.
Ooh, that sounds good.
And healthy.
Is that something local or?
Yeah. Also, if you're looking for reading material, Panda Cake. It's fantastic. Read Panda Cake.
Is that something for Charlie?
Do you also want to do
that for you?
Your restaurant?
It is. It's a Charlie book about pandas that steal things. They're not nice.
No, bad pandas.
Right. I don't want to plug the restaurant. I'm mad at them right now.
Hmm.
Oh.
Has it been tough? Or should we not?
Oh, no.
Should we stop the broadcast?
No, it's fine. No, today was just a crappy shift because somebody decided to quit showing up to work, and then my staff who were angry at them for not showing up to work started some drama on Facebook about it, and those who were fired and/or friends with the person who got fired, it became this big drama war that I can't participate in and don't want to participate in, but my name is getting thrown all over the place of I did this or I did that, or it's just silly. So yeah, no plugs for work right now. Screw those.
I'm going to hunt this conversation down, and I'm just going to like everything. I'm going to take both sides and really try and keep it going.
Yeah.
I don't know if it's your experience. Oh, go ahead.
Go ahead.
Well, I'm just remembering that Sundays, I have way less time in the service industry, but Sundays for me at both restaurants were just always the worst. They just seemed doomed.
Yeah. They're awful. And we get crushed on Sundays. So, anyways, enough of that fun.
Jessica, what are you plugging this week?
Fitbit to help you lose weight.
Great. I also have Little Pirate Goes to School. What else is within arm's reach? I think that might be it.
On the wall behind me, I have posters from the cover of Dungeon World, the cover art. Those are available through Amazon and other fine online retailers. And
Nice.
there I have a neon light. I think it's Joe's Crab Shack Gold Coast Rita. No, I'm sorry. That was when I worked at Outback, Gold Coast Rita. And then there's my Shodan certificate. So several promotions ago, I framed a certificate.
If you could,
can I also do Fun Employed for when you need help writing your resume?
Actually,
Perfect.
Josh was with me years ago. Josh came down to Texas, and we went and played Balderdash with Ken Buckman and T. Norman. Do you remember that?
And drank a lot.
And drank a lot.
Drank a lot. He was
Friday,
excited to pour us a lot of sherry that night.
Yeah, it was a good time, and it was a drunken time. Now we're old. We went over there on Friday night. We went to dinner with them, and then we went and played that Fun Employee that Jessica just held up.
Oh,
And
cool.
it's kind of like Balderdash. It's the same sort of bullshitting. Just you throw out some cards, and then you just make shit up. And it was a lot of fun. But
That's cool.
I drank water the entire night. I think I had one beer at dinner, and then water the rest of the night. But when I thought a cop was going to pull me over, he was pacing me, and then he pulled back, and he just rode my blind spot. And it was like 1:45 in the morning. It was way too late. I was tired. Just kind of driving home from Ken and T's. And he just gets in my blind spot, and he paces me. And I thought about it. I thought, well, I haven't been drinking. I've got it. I'm covered. I've got everything I need to have. So I just hit my brakes and let him pull up next to me, and then resumed just to get him out of my blind spot. So he slowed down and got behind me. I thought, well, now I'm getting pulled over by this asshole. But
Right.
he probably ran my plates, but he took off without doing anything. But really bummed me out that he was right in my blind spot. I'm sure he was checking to see if I was drunk or something, but
Yeah.
that's dangerous. Speaking of dangerous driving, in the crew, we have Atticus Silver, driver extraordinaire, sitting in the not driver's seat while Samantha Fraze is responsible for everybody's life.
I'm a very good driver.
Atticus is getting patched up and counting falling matchsticks. Samantha, you're at the wheel, and I'm going to say you're a little half, distracted by everything in the truck as well. Maybe getting a little bit of a headache. It's been pretty stressful. You feel a little out of sorts because you're not getting the telepathy in the background. You don't see any of the kind of color of life of the spirit world that often bleeds through. And you're just kind of out of sorts, and this big shape just lands with a wet thud right in front of the RV. You're going maybe about 40 miles per hour, wet road conditions. You feel like there's a little loss of traction also that maybe Atticus was just making up for without necessarily even being mindful of it just yet. But there's a little bit of a slick of algae starting to grow on everything. And this big thing just drops in front of you, 30, 40 feet up there. You're going 40 miles per hour. The roads are slick. What do you do, Samantha Fraze?
Can I try to cast a spell onto the frog?
I think you can absolutely attempt to cast a spell. What's the effect you're going for? As I reveal to Josh the beat-up yellow firebird that you found.
I want to shrink it down to size.
Oh, nice. Oh, that's probably. Let me see if that could fall into a use magic, or if that's gonna be a big magic. You can summon a monster into the world. You can banish a spirit or curse from the person, object, or place. You can trap a person. Let's say that would kind of count into a sort of a trap type thing. Mm-hmm. Yeah, you want to kind of like convert this thing into if not a normal frog, at least a frog-sized thing that won't really wreck the truck as you go through.
Right.
Sound right? Now I think we'd have a couple of options to go here. One is we could act under pressure, and you just kind of would roll plus cool and reach out with your magic, kind of almost instinctually, and you just kind of get this effect to happen. Alternatively, we could resolve it through use magic. I'd want you to kind of lay out for me how it works. I'd come up with a few requirements for use magic, so your magic can be the mechanism, but we want to figure out which move we're going to do. Are you acting under pressure and it's just reflexive, or do you actually like, in a short time, does Samantha, like, she's so good at magic, she lays out a spell? It's really up to you how Samantha is.
I think her weird tends to be better than her cool. So it might just be like her magic.
Okay. I think I'm going to give you the requirements that it requires weird materials. You're kind of covered in some of this goop from the when Manon was fired at you from the digestive tract of the last froggy myth. You're still covered in all sorts of slick nastiness from the one that blew up on you. You're going to have to like kind of gather some of it up in your palms and use it to try and like attune to the creatures. It's going to require ritual chanting and gestures, and I want to know how those kind of pull into your shame. Or if it might be even a different emotion, but like what I really want to know, like an equivalent to dancing the Macarena that you did last time. And then it's going to require 2 people, one additional person to have cast a spell. Basically, you're going to need somebody to grab the wheel. When this happens, is there's you can tell me who it is, and Josh can provide input. It might be that Atticus is in the passenger seat next to you, or if he's back getting patched up, it could be one of the teenagers, the line cook, or the professor that's sitting next to you. I'm just trying to think where Atticus was when he was getting sewn up.
I think he was in the back with Daria. Just because there's going to be.
Yeah, I don't think Daria and I
quite a
would
bit
fit in the passenger area.
Yeah, I imagine that it'd be like kind of close to the sink in the Winnebago, just in case like there's a lot of blood coming out. Like we could just rinse it down the sink. As far as in the passenger seat with me, I would think it'd probably be the professor, because she's probably guiding me and giving me directions as to how much further the school is.
I think that makes sense.
Yeah.
So I would probably tell her that I need her to grab the wheel because there's a frog in the middle of the road, and
so I think Amanda's sitting there and she's talking to you, and some of her words make sense because you were in her head for a while she was reading, and you hear some of the things that she read. She's starting to give you context for it, and she's kind of laying out her plan. How much of it soaks into your head, you're not sure, but she's in midstream talking about like string theory and everything is energy and matter and it vibrates, and she's going to this weird interdimensional connectivity stuff. And you talk to me like I'm Amanda. Like she's going off, she's looking at you, and she doesn't see the froggy myth, and she's trying to make you understand it. So no, we have to get to my lab. I've got this this residue that came through. It leaked through the worlds. And then you interrupt her with what?
Amanda, shut up! There's a frog in the street. Grab the wheel.
Okay. She reaches over. She's grabbing the wheel. She's like, ah! And it's I get power steering and stuff, but the handling is real messed up. You probably are dragging the wrecked remains of your Firebird behind, and she's struggling not to lose it. And you have just seconds to spit off the spell. So she's helping. She's got the wheel. What are you doing while Amanda's like wrestling with it?
So I'm grabbing like a glob of the slime from my arm. And then I guess I'm like grabbing it together like if it's a ball, and then I put it on my throat like if it's the part of the frog.
The bullfrog.
The bullfrog, right? I'm gonna have to make like a stupid riveting sound.
Oh, the fates of magic are so cruel to you. Oh dear Lord. So there you're trying to make it work.
Just super fast too, like yeah,
I mean split second. I think even Amanda has quit looking at the road. She's just trying to keep it straight while like looking at you like this, like I'm a professor of physics. This isn't a thing. Like I thought she was gonna shoot it. And no, you're being crazy lady. Samantha, I hope this works out. Let me see your
right.
little.
Really weird.
Nice. Just a little housekeeping. Samantha did level up after last time, so she took a +1 to cool as her advance.
I did.
Here
not.
she rolls. Did you have an advance?
No. I have one more, and I'm up a level.
Okay, very cool. So with use magic on a 10+, the magic works without issue. You choose your effect. I think we're kind of calling within the trap sort of spell. You're gonna Are you going to turn it into a natural bullfrog, or are you just going to reduce its size so you can run over it safely?
Reduce its size to like run over it safely.
Okay. And is there any idea of like trying to catch it, or you just want to crush it without the truck getting messed up?
Just crush it without the truck getting messed up.
Yeah. Yeah, so you do this, and it registered barely in Amanda's mind. As she grabbed the wheel, she looked and saw it, and saw this big thing out there. But then she just turns and she's looking at you, and I think the camera for a moment focuses on her like horrified face, and in the background, like it shifts the depth of what's the depth of perspective from her face to this big frog in the background, and it gets like from this like voracious maw open, dripping like saliva off the teeth, to like this weird, screwed up, confused look on its face. Its tongue kind of lolls off. Then its throat kind of blows up like a bullfrog. As it compresses back in, it shrinks like whoof, and then it does it again, whoof. Like right as the RV hits it, you see it's down to like the size of a large dog, and the RV pounds into it and it blows up. There's guts everywhere. And then the camera swings back into the interior, and it looks at Amanda's face, and she's just looking at you like, "Are you ill, child?" Like she doesn't see how you just saved the day, right? What are you doing, Samantha?
So then I guess they grab the steering wheel again. But I'm pretty sure that with that much magic on that one little spell, I'm probably getting a little weak from it either way, and probably gonna need to switch from being in behind the driver's seat. Gonna need Atticus to be up there in front, driving from that point.
Very good. And so if you guys can either try and do like a slow down and switch while driving, or pull over or something. Do want to remind Atticus is still suffering a unstable wound.
Mm-hmm.
So you both got some hit points back last time. It would take either like surgery, or if Samantha takes a moment to do a spell to heal you successfully, we would heal one more harm and knock off that unstable. She would basically, there might still be shrapnel in you, but she would stop the bleeding that all those frangible rounds cost when they shredded and tore through your innards.
Well, I guess whether we stop and do that depends on how close we are to the lab. So, Doc, how close are we?
What's interesting to the both of you, to try and do something on the road, or like to get to the university before, or I think it's like community college, to get to the college before you patch them up?
I don't feel like I need to be patched up. I think that can be resolved later. Again, I mentioned this last time, but Atticus is sort of in the mode of just wanting to get let's get stuff handled, and we'll take care of medical stuff later.
Mm-hmm. So what's it look like as you transition to like get Atticus back behind the driver's wheel? What would you guys pull over? Like, just kind of describe the scene in a way that the audience enjoys seeing this transition. Or is it as simple as like you pull over real quick, you switch seats, and then jumps in? Because all the frogs are dead, right? Or there's nothing right around you right now.
Let's pull over, and I'm gonna poke my head out the hole in the top real quick and look at the Firebird. I'm just gonna shake my head.
Basically, you see. Yeah.
Right. All right, Sam. Let's let Jesus take the wheel.
All right, Jesus.
Nobody fucks with the Jesus.
Part the Red Sea. I'll agree you back.
That wasn't Jesus. That was Moses.
I don't know anything about Christianity.
One of us went to a Baptist school, Jessica. So you take the wheel. I think the professor is still kind of sitting there. The utility of her being able to kind of direct you toward the college is beneficial to have her in the co-pilot seat.
Yeah, she can stay there, but I don't like it.
Well, I think as Samantha walks to the back, she's just kind of looking after her and looks up to you, and clearly she doesn't know what happened, and you probably didn't see exactly what was going on either. And she says, "I don't think that girl's I don't think that girl's right. I think that's where that scene ends, is just her kind of questioning Sandy. And we picked
You are absolutely correct.
Oh.
And I take it, I sit in the driver's seat, and on the dash, like glued to the dash, there's like one of those little troll dolls, but it's like a werewolf troll doll. And I like rub its head. Every time I sit to drive, I rub its head real quick.
Nice.
All right, Doc, now we're good.
Does the troll werewolf is like a bobblehead, or is it just a fixed little doll? Okay.
No, it can be like a bobblehead.
I think it kind of rocks its head as you haul down the road. I think the next scene has us pulling up to the community college, but now as we're pulling up, it's in the near distance. The roads are definitely slippery now. They're covered with a sheet of algae. And have you ever like walked on a bunch of seaweed piled up in the ground, or like anything where it's like matted grass after heavy rain, like you kind of sink into a little bit? The RV is wanting to slip and slide a little bit. You're having to control it with, you're really noticing it now. Thick foliage has started growing up, and none of you are from the area, but it's generally like desert to plains in this area. And you're really not expecting, there's like usually mesquite or some shrubbery, some green spacing that people would maintain. But like now you're getting like swampy foliage. Atticus at least is from Miami. I guess Samantha was in Miami too, right? Mm-hmm. You're getting a strong like almost Everglades vibe. And you're here in the middle of New Mexico. Clearly the portals to the frog hemoth realm, it's actually like the realities are blending now. You're leaking over. And this is coming out of the result of one of the 6 minuses last time that didn't have a direct impact on the story. So yeah, you're starting to pull up. She gives you directions toward the lab. There's probably a big, maybe couple acre, 5 acre spread of buildings, and she points to one. And tells you my lab's in there. We need to get to that building. I think as you are pulling onto the campus and going that way, a big viney protrusion kind of erupts from the ground near the road. As it rips up, you see it's covered in like little tendrils. It's a huge vine that's probably 6-7 feet. Think of like a big sewer pipe, usually buried under like under a culvert, under a road or something. At its trunk, it's that wide. It's maybe 70 feet long, and there's little tendrils and suckers kind of coming off of it every which way, and it kind of slams down on the road and scrapes against the road, and it seems to be kind of casting about as the truck is rolling closer, and then it kind of slaps toward you. It's not quite long enough to reach you. You're stopped maybe 30 feet from it, or you're about 30 feet from it, and just cruising along at a slow speed as this happens. What is Atticus doing?
It seems like sentient though, like it's reaching for us. Yeah.
Yeah. It doesn't necessarily show intelligence, but it's definitely reacting to stimuli. Like it's. Well, actually, no. I'm answering a question I shouldn't be answering yet. You are kind of looking at a thing and maybe in a position to read a bad situation.
Okay, yeah.
Or investigate a mystery, depending on what you want to do and how you're kind of going about it.
I think read a bad situation makes more sense. Mm-hmm. Right?
Yeah, I'm a big fan of
that. Yeah. Let's do that. So what is that sharp?
Yeah, plus sharp.
Come on, XP. Not really. I'd rather succeed, really. What I get? 9? All right, then. So I get to answer or ask one thing? All right.
Yeah. You get one hold and you can spend one to ask a thing.
I am going to ask, what's the biggest threat?
think it kind of starts slapping toward the truck, and it can't quite reach, and it lays still for a moment, and then a froghemoth seems to like get aggressive. Like it's off in the distance. You didn't even see it. It was kind of hunkered down in the moss out there, and it's even covered with a little bit of algae. And as your truck is rolling up, and like your headlights have swept across it, it leaps up into the air and it lands on the road, and you see the vine kind of tendril and almost orient the bottom of it that's covered more with suckers toward the froghemoth. And then the froghemoth takes another leap toward your truck, and it lands maybe, you're 30 feet from the tip of the vine. It's maybe 60 feet. It's like aggressively charging you in these big hops. Mm-hmm. And as it lands that time, the vine, like lightning quick, picks up and slaps down and just smashes that froghemoth. And it kind of curls around it for a moment, and you see it just kind of squeeze. And the tendrils and suction cups right in that area kind of start worrying it, chewing at it. And you see them just kind of strip the flesh off of it and start like, looks like maybe their mouths under the suckers or something. Really? It's just kind of, it's what do you call it? Like flensing the flesh off of the frog here on the road. And it's still laying there quivering. And you just know that like it's a really big threat. But it's also aggressive toward froghemoths and probably anything. It probably, you're not facing a coordinated team.
There's just the one that I see, right?
Yeah, and it hopped through the field, the froghemoth, and it was kind of when it got close to that thing.
But just one of the plant things.
One big tendril, yeah. Yep.
Is it long enough? Do I think that I can skirt along the far side of the road and avoid its reach, or do I have to go off road to get away from this thing?
Because of its length, as you get closer to where it's coming from, it's definitely coming out of the ground. It's out of, I think there's also a lot of fog here, and there's patches of it, like you're looking through a fairly light screen of fog. It's coming from a place off the road, but it can fully sweep a good 100 feet of the road. If you were to stick on the road, it would be able to sense you unless you found some way to mask your presence. Like you'd have to get off the road if you wanted to keep driving, go around it.
Got it. I think that we should, this thing is not as big as the range of certainly my gun, at least. And probably Daria's guns at least too. I don't know about Sam's weapons, but we could certainly stop a distance away and just rain fire on this thing until it's not a threat anymore, and then continue on. I think if we go off the road, we're going to get stuck in this mucky stuff. That's my opinion. Or if there's some sort of magical way to make sure this guy doesn't notice us, maybe we do that. But that's not my department.
What do you think, Sam? You definitely are out of its reach and could just shoot into it. Do you have any thoughts on a solution, Sam?
Can I banish it or maybe communicate with it?
Okay. So you're thinking through the use of use magic?
Yeah.
It's got all those mouths to talk to you with.
I'm almost afraid that it might be too many voices because it has so many mouths. But do you want me to get rid of the monster, or do you want me to try to move us away from through it, or?
I mean, if you think you can keep it from attacking us without killing it, I mean, that guy could be a good ally against any froghemoths that are around. It eats those, it looks like. But I mean, there's a risk for us to drive by it.
Oh, I know it's not a froghemoth, right?
It's not a froggy. It's a completely separate kind of. Basically, in my head, I'm picturing something that's like a carnivorous plant, a big unintelligent. It just reacts to stimulus in the situation, and it'll eat Froghemus, and if you get too close, it'll attack you as well.
Did it seem to have quieted down some when it was eating? Like, could we have driven by while it was eating that thing? Do I think?
That might be more an investigative mystery, except like the rough guess is no. I think as it was eating it, just the section of trunk near the Froghemoth kind of snaked in and stuck to it, and the tip of it kind of started feeling around again. And I think it doesn't necessarily rest. It doesn't rest for too long near the truck. It kind of snakes out into the field, like it can't quite reach you, and so it's just kind of on a slow sweep, looking for anything that vibrates in its area.
Because Mannon's got a bad paw. We could always just throw him out there, and drive on by.
Mannon dead.
Oh, he didn't come with us?
No, he was burned up in digestive juices. But you do have on the RV, you have Daria and her daughter. You've got Amanda the professor. You also have the line cook. His name is Mateo, which I don't think you've gotten yet. He's the guy who's been kind of insistent that you go get weapons from the weapons store in town. And then you have 3 teenagers who are just kind of cowering and looking dumbfounded.
I wasn't really serious about that idea. I just wanted to get Mannon worked up.
And I think Mateo is looking at this thing, and as you mentioned that you could get it to work for you, he's looking at it with some fascination, and looking at as the part of it still kind of drags the almost devoured carcass of Froghemoth with it as it goes. He says, "Yeah, sure as shit. If we could leave that behind us, or even attract some Froghemoths to this spot, it might get us. It might give us something behind us against these things. Any of them that followed us from town, at least." So you can try and banish it, communicate with it, summon more. Josh recommended maybe trying to shoot it, or you floated the idea of setting up a distraction to occupy it somewhere else and then try and drive through real quick. Or mask the vehicle. You got all sorts of options here.
Well, my instinct is just to shoot it down or to lure Froghemoths there to distract it. But I'm also, like I said, if we're talking about magic, I don't have great ideas.
I could bar the RV so that the Froghemoths are attracted to it, and that could give us a little bit of a distraction, but I don't know how much further we need to go to reach the school after passing this obstacle. So I don't want them riding.
It's on the entrance into the campus, and so it's not covering every possible way the Froghemoths would come, but any that kind of followed you down the road at least would come through here. After it, you've got maybe, that's like a five acre spread. So you've got, I'm going to guess maybe a quarter mile to the building that she identified.
Yeah. Or I can just try and drive like off road and get away from it. I think we're sure to get stuck if I do that, but.
And you can answer questions like that if you want to do a read about situation or investigate mystery. If you want to kind of try those now, looking around for options.
Have we? We've pulled to a stop at this point, right?
Yeah. I'm assuming you stopped as you kind of watched that Froghemoth get smashed.
I'm gonna hop out real quick unless Sam objects, and just kind of, check my footing on the ground off the road, like just off the edge of the pavement, and see how mucky and slippery it gets. Like, is this like deep, gross, mucky mud where we're definitely gonna get stuck, or is this, desert with some stuff on the ground?
Investigate a mystery. I think you're investigating by kind of searching around the scene. And I think you're investigating in terms of like, could you get your RV through this? I would let you, even though you're not actively driving, it's like investigating with a mind toward driving. So I'd let you take a +1 on it.
And that's sharp?
Yes, plus sharp. Plus sharp, plus 1.
Not bad.
Nice. So with that, oh, and you also have plus 1 ongoing while the information is relevant when you're dealing specifically with that vine monster.
How come?
That's from reading a bad situation.
Oh, got it. Okay.
If you act on the answers you get. So knowing that it's the most dangerous thing here, you get a plus 1. Investigate mystery, you hold 2, and you can spend 1 to ask any of the questions from that list. And then do you have... Somebody has additional question. I think it's Samantha has additional questions under one of the moves.
Yeah, I can ask 2 questions when I investigate a mystery and roll a 10.
Okay. So yeah, that would be if you were doing investigate mystery.
Well, I mean, I guess I could ask what is being concealed here, but with the aim of, what is this footing like? What's this ground like?
Yeah, that's a question I was kind of looking at as the primary concern. And you step there, and there's a little bit of a give. Step in, there's a little bit of give. You think it's fine, and then you step a little bit further, and there's this big kind of eruption of like mud spurts up. You get this like methane gas pocket. You get this strong blast of just decay, and your foot goes down quite a bit. There's a moment where you're concerned you're going to lose your boot, like you're pulling out of this real heavy suction mud, and as you get free, this whole field is kind of getting soaked in with this swamp water, but also it feels like it's turning into, it's not just like the normal ground out here is getting wet and covered with algae. It's actually becoming this kind of muddy swampiness, and you have no doubt that you'd get stuck as soon as you get off the road.
Right. So driving off road's not happening. So I guess we kill it or we make it so it doesn't see us. I think that would be the 2 best options.
Yeah.
Even if we distract it, it's still going to come after us.
Yeah, I think that's my best
question available.
That would be strong. Yeah.
I mean, I guess I could say what can hurt it. I think that's cheating because I wasn't really investigating that.
No, I think that's a reasonable thing.
Okay.
I think as you look around in here and you maybe think back to anything that they've ever done out in a swamp when you've had to kind of clear foliage and clear stuff out. I don't know if you ever were involved in like anything out in the Everglades when you lived there, or if you've seen it in movies or TV shows. You just picture teams of guys walking around with flamethrowers, just cleansing shit out. And you really think like shooting bullets at this thing, it's so big, like you'll piss it off. Maybe you'll drive it away a little bit, but fire would be your best bet to drive it back for a significant, to actually make it afraid of you or to hurt it badly.
Would we have extra gas cans on the truck?
Forget the truck. Let's just try the Firebird.
Nice. There's probably like a unruptured gas tank on the Firebird, and then I think it's up to you if the RV would either have like a sometimes they put on a secondary gas tank that's like you use a switch to divert to a secondary tank. So you might have that, or you might have jerry cans stowed away somewhere. Samantha, do you keep anything flammable to use in your magics?
I usually keep a flame. That's like for my candles and stuff. So probably can make like some sort of Molotov cocktail. Some alcohol.
You just use like salt and the Macarena to create a great big fire circle around the frog, right?
Yeah.
What would Samantha do to use fire in this situation against a big tendril?
Obviously, if I get close to it with the salts, and then with the way the environment is kind of changing around us, I think my biggest fear would be like getting caught in the ground and getting sucked in.
Oh, I think also, yeah, when that pocket of decaying mud opened up, like you got a real strong scent of methane coming out of that. There's probably all sorts of like natural gas bubbling up in the field now as you're kind of watching it. It's getting a little bit worse.
Would the Firebird drive at all, or is it totally fucked?
What's interesting here? I'm thinking it's wrecked real bad. Like you need a new car, but is it interesting if it can be pushed, or do you want to actually start up and run on its own?
I want to start up and run on its own. So what I'm thinking of is if we have jerry cans, if we've got extra gas cans, if I can get the Firebird off of its trailer and just douse the interior of it, and light something, maybe one of Sam's candles, start the candle on one of the seats so it's gradually burning down, get it running, get it started, and just somehow force the gas pedal down so that it's like driverless flying at this thing and explodes into a fireball when it hits it. It would never work in real life.
Do you have any magic power?
No.
No.
I don't do magic.
Because I mean, if you throw salt into the mixture, I'm pretty sure I can do kind of the same thing that I did with the other frog, Hemoth, and kind of make kind of like a fireball out of the Firebird.
Okay.
So we might be able to do that. And if we're not able to move it, maybe you can reverse it, maybe with a light push. It might just move forward enough to get the monster.
Or we could.
If it's most interesting that it can be driven, like let's make it. It can be kind of started up. It takes a few and it kind of coughs to life a little bit. It doesn't want to keep running, but you kind of nurse it a little bit. You're the driver. Like you can make a car give you its last breath, right? And so yeah, you're going to be able to get the car to run just enough to sacrifice it to the tentacle god. How would you set your spell up in it, or what effect would you be going for if they use magic? If that's what you can do, Jessica.
Just a big ass fireball. Basically with the same salt and I guess stupid fucking dance. We can get this going again. But
I almost picture you doing like Josh is making a bomb or a big fire bomb incendiary thing out of it, and you're going to enchant it, give it a +1 harm and plus magic.
Yeah.
And the fire is just like more than a natural fire.
Yeah.
Yeah. What's your ritual look like as you do that? Is it more Macarena, or is there something new that's called for?
No, it's more Macarena.
As you're doing this, you guys have been I'm picturing both of you standing outside of the RV, kind of arguing about this, coming up with the plan. Mateo comes out and he's listening. He's kind of nodding along. He's an extra pair of hands if you need. The professor is looking at the building and looking down her notebook and like making note flip pages, looking up, trying to like plan her part. And we really haven't looked at Daria and her daughter or the 3 teenagers. Give me one moment while I sneeze.
Bless you.
But right as Sam, thank you. Right as Sam starts dancing the Macarena, we cut to the 3 teenagers. They're looking down at you, Sam, and the first of the young women is probably 15 or 16. She's very short, maybe 4'10" or so, and she's just laughing her ass off. She's looking at you, just cracking up as you're doing this dead-eyed Macarena interpretation. Next to her is Mackenzie. She's maybe a year or two older. She's got probably like a crucifix around her neck, and she's looking at you, and she kind of looks up, and she kind of grabs across, and she seems to be lost in prayer as you're out here doing the Deadeye Macarena. And then we cut over to the young man, and I think he's got his cell phone out, and he's like snapping pictures, and then he's turning and he's getting like selfies of you in the background, and just getting his picture. He's getting like a thumbs up, and he's been scared shitless, but he's like has his tension release as he's laughing at you and getting pictures. They're all up in the corner as you're dancing. Roll your weird. Get your weird on.
Nice.
Nice. So I don't get to add any glitches. You just get to do this. What's it look like as you kind of get it finalized? Atticus has loaded up a couple jerry cans. I think with your spell you can definitely have like the combustion kind of timed when you want it.
Yeah.
Is it gonna be a gesture? Are you gonna shoot a bullet into it? Is there a timer on it?
No, I think it's just
When you stop doing the Macarena?
Yeah, I'm like gyrating my hips and then like turning around. And then when you do like the first initial step of going like this, like a flame ball like appears in my hand and kind of just projects into the remains of the Firebird, turning it into ash and just making it explode in front of the plant monster.
So you're queued up, ready to detonate it, and we get to Atticus now. Your beloved Firebird is about to turn into a Firebird. What are you doing to kind of get it? Are you steering it toward the plant? Do you just want to put it down the road where the plant will attack it, and then blow it up when the plant grabs it, or
kind of steering it toward if I can see where the trunk of the plant is, I want to get as close to center mass as I can. So I'm kind of directing it there if I can, and using some duct tape that I have from the RV to kind of secure the steering wheel in place. And then I'm putting it in neutral, taping the gas pedal all the way down, and then just waiting for Sam to give me the sign to throw it in gear and like pull my body out, basically.
Okay. I think I'd like to resolve this with a act under pressure. You're trying to get this. You want it to hit the swampy field and like not sink down. It's lighter than the RV. Maybe you'll be able to make it through. You want to keep it a straight course as it goes. You've got it all kind of set up as best as you can. Go ahead and act under pressure.
Do I do my +1 for driver?
Do +1 for driver, and you also carry a +1 forward from read a bad situation about this thing.
So +2. So cool +2, right?
That's correct.
Come on, cool.
So 9, or does that include the +2?
That includes the +2.
Oh shit! Yikes.
Oh wait a minute. No, I did that wrong. That includes too many +2s. I rolled a 2 and a 1, so that should be a 5.
A 2 and a 1 is a 3, +2 for cool, right?
Oh, okay, yeah, and +2. Yeah, no, that's right. So it is 7.
Okay. Keeper's going to give you a worse outcome, hard choice, or a price to pay.
So a 7 and 9 is not a fail. Below 7 is a fail. This is just a fail with a price, right? Or a success with a price. Okay.
I'm going to give you a price to pay. The goal you're looking for is to get this near the trunk and either kill it or hurt it badly enough that it's not a threat.
Mm-hmm.
And the car makes it out there. It keeps going. It kind of is sinking down in the mud, and then you hear like the engine kind of work a little extra hard, and it surges and it sucks itself up and it climbs, and it's almost like a boat going over waves. It kind of like sinks and like it's wanting to please you. The car is almost intelligent, or dedicated to you. And it gets up to about 10 feet from the base of this plant, and the plant kind of reaches over to grab it right as it starts coming within reach, but then it kind of recoils away, like it smells the gasoline, or it seems to get a sense of what's going on here. And in the background, Sam's doing the Macarena, getting ready to throw the fireball. And things going closer, the tendrils still like going away. And by the time the car gets about 10 feet from the trunk is like reaching as far from it as possible. It seems rooted by this spot. And the car finally sinks in. It gives a last sputter. The engine just dies. Sam's fireball flies through, hits it, and boom, there's a loud explosion. Bits of this thing get blown mostly away from you all. Some kind of tossed way up in the high, and for 20 seconds you hear like chunks of meat. Did you ever see the video of the whale getting blown up on a beach in Oregon?
Yeah.
And like quarter mile away, chunks of meat are landing on them. So yeah, there's chunks of tendril kind of crashing down, and it's hard to tell here if it's meat or if it's plant. It's just dense tissue. But also the field. All these little gas pockets kind of burst in fire. You see like popping off around it, and then in a radius out. Some of the gas kind of spills across, and it turns almost like when they would cover the swamps in Panama with oil to kill mosquitoes. Like this oil slick is ignited and just flowing across. And you hear the echo of the boom off in the distance, reverberating. And then just in the far distance, this loud, like almost at once, this big, like thunderous ribbit roar as all these froghemoths far away kind of hear this noise. And then there's just like kind of ominous silence. And then another ribbit roar a little bit closer. And you just kind of, I think the camera pulls up from you all and just see like this beautiful fanning flame spreading. And then out maybe a mile away, this line of like froghemoths just advancing on the college, just hundreds of them spread across the field. Some of them will have to like go around fire. Most of them have a clear shot at you. I think let's cut for a quick break there, and we'll pick it back up with you have a clear shot to the lab.
Cool.
I'll be back at 5 after.
Okay.
The names were Leah, Mackenzie, and Alex.
Babe, this part is still live.
The what?
It's still live.
The party is?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, still broadcasting. Oh. Hmm. Hello, hello, hello.
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 So you guys have a clear shot at the college. Physics professor Amanda believes that salvation lies in her lab. Off in the distance, froghemoths are closing in. They move in kind of great big leaps, but they kind of have to rest a moment between the leaps. I'm going to guess they're coming at something like 4 miles an hour. So probably about 15 minutes or so before like the first of the horde start getting into the college. You've just blown up the car. We've kind of seen all this happen. You don't necessarily know you don't have the immediate knowledge of how far away they are. The characters don't, but you can hear it in the distance. And Amanda kind of pounds on the window and calls to you like, "It's clear. We need to go to the lab." Mateo's standing out there, just grinning. He likes seeing shit blow up. And the teenage boy has swung his camera over, and he's recording like the fire in the swamp. What do you do?
Is he in the back of the car?
Yeah, he's like in the passenger compartment. I picture there's probably like a kitchen area, a little dining area or something.
I'm gonna go in through the side door, so I'm in the cabin part,
Mhm.
and I just take his phone from him. Just as I'm walking by, just whoosh, grab it and
Nice.
head up to the driver's seat.
He is like protesting. Like you can't. He's not expecting you to do that. He's like, God, don't you know who I am? I'm gonna make you famous. Like the whole world's gonna see this.
Hey,
Blah blah blah.
I'm gonna guess you look like you're a Skylar, right? You're Skylar, maybe Tanner. This is
My
mine
name's
now.
Alex, and he gets real petulant.
Right,
And
Alex,
he seems put off you don't know him.
Alex, fuck off.
He's not usually being treated this way, but you're also kind of a scary dude right now. I don't think it's even a manipulate someone. He just he's cowed. But you can dealt with enough people that you can tell like he's gonna try and figure out how to get that phone back. He's
Cool.
intimidated, but he's not broken. If that's what you plan to do.
No, I plan to start driving towards the campus, and as we get 30, 40 seconds down the road, just toss it out the window as far as I can.
Nice. And you're back in the truck, of course. Samantha?
No,
Yeah,
I
I'm
left
jumping in.
without her. I left without her.
I'm jumping in and going, hey, you're forgetting the jam. Jesus, don't forget your freaking jam. I'm going to make this look badass.
No, I didn't leave without her. Of course.
As you're pulling down the road, and maybe before you've made it that 30 to 60 seconds where you toss the thing into the swamp, the phone in the swamp. Sam, you're kind of sitting there, or you're sitting. Maybe you're in the passenger seat now that everybody knows where they're going. Look out the window, and you see the flames burning on top of the field. The flames start kind of dancing, and you start seeing these little fire sprites dancing around. And you start seeing the what else is a swamp spirit? Maybe like the tendrils of fog that everybody else kind of sees rolling around. You see them kind of playfully intertwining with each other. Sometimes they kind of get close to the fire sprites, and they have like a little combat. And usually the fire wins and drives the fog off. But sometimes the fog is able to kind of surround and choke off the fire at its base. You see like a tendril flame just kind of wither and dissipate into smoke, and you just see this kind of war, and everything kind of goes to that black and white kind of tinny sounding in the background as the dark powers that always surround you or have recently abandoned you, right? Last time you denied them, they come back into play, and I think they whisper to you. They say, Samantha, dear Samantha, and they usually call you Sammy, 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 or something, like treat you like a child. But they say, you can be great. Your father, he always let his fear guide his action. There's power here. You can take it. You can take this power. You just need to do it for us. You just need to want it for us and for yourself. Moving forward, we'll find the time. We'll give you the chance to steal some of this power for yourself. You can save most of these people, but give us what we need, and we will make you a force to be reckoned with moving forward. What do you do as you're in this moment?
What exactly do they need?
You feel just this sinister nature of their, I'm saying sinister and insinuation. I don't know if they come from the same root, but like they're insinuating that they're going to ask you to do something in the coming moments, and they're not specific at this point, but you're free to ask them because you're in this little moment with them. Like if you want to ask them, but asking me, it's not clear. They haven't made it clear. So do you want to ask them, or what do you want to do?
Yeah, ask them.
How do you frame it when you're talking to the evil creatures?
Your bargains aren't always the best for me. And I think this is why you do it on purpose. But you have my attention for the minute. What exactly is it that you want or need?
We want nothing for you, but for your power, for you to grow, to be strong, to serve us, to serve with us. We have kept you alive, and I think you have like a little bit of a flashback to some of the points where you spent luck in the recent, in these past games. You kind of see each of those scenes play out, and you see how badly things would have gone, and then you see like the fates, the dark powers, kind of reach into the world, and like, what was the example of the last time you burned luck? Trying to think if it was to make something go right, or I don't remember the exact scene off the top of my head, but yeah, you basically see them intervene on your behalf, and they say, if we wanted badness for you, we just would stand aside, let your recklessness take you into oblivion. We would never hurt you, and we'll even protect your sidekick. But I think as you're seeing in the dark, the black and white or off color scene. You see the little kid pouting, Alex, in the back pouting, and it says the voices, and I think it's three voices kind of speaking at the same time. You just get that kind of polyphonic sound out of them. They say, he's back there pouting. He's petulant. He would have exposed your secrets to the world, filming you conducting a ritual, sharing with the mundane, the sleeping minds outside of your work. We would take him. We would make him not your problem, and in exchange, we would give you some of this power. But we'll let you know when the time is right for a deal. We'll present it.
Okay. Until then, I guess.
Okay. Everything kind of comes back into color, and it's just like maybe as Atticus is throwing the phone out, and we see the kid's face kind of follow it. He's looking, and he's trying to like mark where it is. It hits the mud, it sinks in. Chances for the kid to find it are real low, unless maybe if everything was to return to normal and he could do like a "Where's my phone" app or something. But yeah, he's definitely trying to remember about where it was. And it cuts back in. You're driving up to the building. RV pulls to a stop just outside of the building. Amanda gets out and she runs up toward the doors, kind of tries to push her way through the doors, and then realizes like nobody's been here to unlock it today. Everybody's been eaten by frogs. So she starts fumbling through a key ring, and she's trying to get doors open. What are you guys doing as she's kind of rushing in? And what do you want? The teenagers, what's Daria and her daughter doing? And Mateo, the line cook, what are they doing?
I would think. Go ahead.
I would think that we would have to like establish order until like start delegating. You do this, you do that, you do this, you do that, and you stay the fuck out of our way.
Who's staying the fuck out of your way?
Alex.
Not the girls though, just Alex.
Yeah.
Okay.
But I think we want them all to come with, right?
Yeah.
I mean, nobody's staying down here with the truck and with the frogs.
Mm-mm.
I think Mateo is looking around, and he looks to you a little like dismissively, and then looks up to Atticus and says, "I could really use a gun. I served. I can shoot. Do you have any more guns on the truck?"
Nope.
Fuck, we're gonna
Nope.
die here.
What branch of the service were you in?
What's a funny I'm picturing that he
Coast Guard.
yeah, like Merchant Marine, Coast Guard. Yeah, he probably. I would Coast Guard. I was a desk clerk. You know, like it wasn't really. He's just trying to like act battle hardened, but I think Daria kind of watches the interaction. She has a 380 and a 357. I think she actually hands a 380, which is just a smaller, like a 9mm, a little bit less oomph to it, smaller bullet. So she kind of gets that out, checks it's loaded, checks the magazine, hands that and a couple extra magazines, and like has them palmed and is handing them to him. You guys have any problem with that?
I don't. I'm just kind of surprised that she wouldn't give it to her niece.
Daughter.
Yeah, daughter.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not thrilled with anybody that I don't know having a gun. I know Daria's already got guns, but I don't want to hand out an arsenal to all these other assholes that could just as easily shoot me in the back. I already got shot once by all you people. I don't need to be shot more by all you people.
Are you saying it? Like,
yeah.
Yeah.
She kind of looks to you, and Daria does, and she says, "You've got 2 shooters. I've got 2 shooters." And she kind of looks to you and looks to Sam. And Sam, she really hasn't given you much hostility, except that she's been a little dismissive. Like when you failed that roll last time, when you were trying to get her to like really make a truce, she's been real quiet kind of since then. And she's looking at the end game. If all this works, she and her daughter are going to be looking for their first way out, and now she's got an extra gun covering her back. You kind of get that with the telepathy that you're getting out of her. Like that's what she's thinking.
I think I would just make it completely clear to her, though. Like he's your responsibility. It's your judgment call, but nonetheless, he's your responsibility at the end of the night. So if he gets shot, or if he shoots one of us, he's going down.
She's completely willing to sacrifice him. He's just a pawn in this game. Yeah, she kind of shrugs at that. She looks at him and says, "He can handle himself. He served." Kind of gives a rueful grin. Josh, do you actually want to push as far as manipulate somebody to convince him not to take the gun now? Or like you were kind of pushing that forceful, like, I don't trust you having a gun around me. Do you actually want to make him think it's more dangerous to have that gun than not, or do you just want to let it play?
I'll just let it play for now.
Yeah. As this kind of goes on, Amanda yells, "God damn it, guys, we got it open. Come on." She's waving you in. Doors push open. The lights are off. There's probably just like emergency exit lights or signs with like just some light, some low-powered lights that are always on 24 hours. She's running down, still fumbling their keyring, and she pulls up to her laboratory, and she lets you all in. It's a big physics classroom, you know, the normal kind of black marble-looking tables laid out, Bunsen burner, gas hoses and everything. Everything's set out. Actually, physics, that's more like chemistry. What's in a physics lab? Oh, you know what? I have a picture here. Off along one wall.
Our physics lab had gas thingies and...
Sometimes they're multi-purpose.
Yeah.
But I'm trying to think. Oh, yeah, I have the lab here. I just haven't put it on yet. And I dropped the wrong one. Like in the dark, you see this equipment popping up here. And why is it all that other stuff behind it's all? Oh, that's fine. There you go.
Lasers.
So, yeah, she runs up to this big piece of apparatus, and she starts explaining, and it's a lot of jargon. You don't get a whole lot out of it. But she's been running some experimentation here, trying to come up with an efficient way to cool a laser going through a thing. And she starts hitting some buttons and firing up equipment. And she sends this equipment starts humming with power. This laser generates up, and it strikes a mirror on the opposite side, and it starts to go. It's the blue color that's there, and then under the mirror where it's striking. She comes up and she points excitedly, and she shows like there's a pile of red dust. It looks kind of like iron dust, like rust. If you sand or file something down that's been rusting, just like a little pile of dust there. And she says, "I had no fucking idea what this was. I've been freaking out about it." And she goes and she gets a couple of mason jars that are like full of this stuff, and she pulls some of it out, and she scoops some out with like a spoon, throws it on the table, and she starts fucking around with it. And pretty soon it bursts into a little cloud of like fog swirling around, the same mist that's surrounding the town. You get a whiff of the swamp smell. You probably hear like some insect noises through it, and then it collapses. And then she does another one, and she starts fucking with it, and poof, it happens again. And she's kind of creating tiny portals, as Samantha probably is the first one to pick up on. She doesn't quite get what she's doing, but she's actually found some way to activate a portal. She's not sure what to do about it at this point, but she knows this stuff resonates with the frogs, with all the mist in the area. She noticed it probably earlier tonight or last night when everything started. The samples, she'd collected a bunch by now, and it was like actually starting to like vibrate in the jars. And I think as she's saying that, you notice it's there. It's kind of like if you shake a jar of sand, like all the particles are kind of like jumping on the top. Mm-hmm. And she's looking at saying, like, this is what's happening. Like, we need to figure out what to do now. And she's going through a book, and she's coming up with all these different conjectures of how to perhaps reverse polarity, and she's shooting all this shit out there. What do you guys want to do?
So did she create the portals that we're working with now, or is she kind of just understanding what's going on around us?
How would you figure that out? Through interrogating her?
Investigate.
Yeah, I think it'd be an investigative mystery. What would be the mechanism of program? Like, you're going to start asking her questions or trying to like correlate, like ask the teenagers like when did stuff start going weird, and try and figure out from her, you know, coordinate timelines. How do you go about just trying to figure out if she's at the cause or what she's doing? Because like as the keeper, I don't know. Like, we're about to figure that out together.
I mean, I want to start with her because I don't respect or care about these kids. But you know, did the strange occurrences start happening after you were doing these laser experiments and getting this red dust, or did you do these in response to the weird mists that are happening and find out there was a correlation? Like, which came first, the chicken or the egg? She starts to answer your questions. Like, there's a dialogue going on. She's being as forthcoming as she can. Sometimes she might not understand what you're getting out of the question, or she thinks there's a more important thing to focus on. So she's not quite being evasive, but she's trying to like teach. She's teaching you instead of listening, like taking guidance from you. Go ahead and roll and investigate a mystery. Roll plus sharp. And Sam, you're here as well. You're welcome to join in if you need assistance with this. Or the 4 is not going to be good enough to answer anything.
I need to help out. Cool.
You can't help out on a 4. You couldn't do anything other than bring it up to a 5.
Oh, yeah.
So Josh marks an experience point. Oh, is that the one that you need to level also?
It is.
Do you have a move in mind that you'd like to do?
I don't have anything in mind at the moment.
Okay. she starts like trying to get it through your head. I don't know why you're not listening to me. Like I've been doing these, and I think to briefly answer your questions that you were asking her directly, the weird occurrences started. She's been doing this experiment for months or even years, and only recently did she start getting the red dust. And the initial assumption, I think, is that the weirdness started happening outside of her lab, and it started influencing an experiment she's doing inside here. So she's not causing it, but she's been able to generate this red dust because it's a weird spot. But she's kind of frustrated. She's like, I don't know why you're not getting what I'm telling you. She takes like a bigger scoop than normal and throws it on the ground, and this big portal opens up in the middle of the room. Immediately, you're all hit by the dank smell. I think you all start sweating as like the hot air kind of washes over you. You're just soaked between the humidity in the room now and your own sweat glands starting to pour. The lab, everything just starts to get kind of covered with fungus, moss, maybe like a little version of that vine from outside kind of ruptures up from the linoleum floor and starts scraping around. And I think everybody in the room is now effectively transported over to the dimension, transdimensional nexus custom moves. One of you roll plus weird.
That'll be me.
As you're stuck in this, like the room around you goes into this other dimension, and there's like a tunnel of fog right in front of you that pulls back, and on the other end you see the science lab. Close that window with a roll. Let me get back to it. 8. So, when someone transported outside of the mortal realm by the transdimensional nexus, roll plus weird, on a 7 to 9, you can still see the doorway back to the real world, but a froghemoth is between you and it. So I think the exit to the real world is between you here and basically like the door out of the laboratory back into the hallway. If you can make it back into the hallway, you'll be in the college. You're not sure the science lab will still be here, and these jars of red dust are sitting there. They've quit vibrating now that they're in the other dimension, and she kind of screams and she grabs at one of them and she starts running toward the froghemoth, or she's running like to try and skirt around it and get back into the world. Oh, nice! Did I?
From the last time that I was in there.
Yeah. That's when a froghemoth swallows you.
Oh.
So what are you guys gonna do? Is she kind of takes off like carrying like a football, and she's gonna try and juke around the thing and get back outside. There's another jar for you all. All of you survivors are here in this thing. The froghemoth looks like it's about to like leap toward her, but like one eye, it's got like 3 eye stalks, and one eye stalk like swivels toward you, the group of you, and 2 of them are focused on her, and it's like maw opens up and it's kind of like lurching forward, and its tongue is reaching out to grab her. Sam, what do you do?
Crap. I don't
That's
even.
an option.
I don't even. I don't even know what. I don't have my salt anymore. And I don't have my gun anymore.
You probably don't have your gun, but you can have like salt and stuff if you have like pockets full of stuff. You're not sure, like maybe instead of getting directly involved in the fight, maybe your role would be to figure out like, well, what the hell can we do with this red stuff? She's sure it's connected. It generally will be. You just need to figure out a thing that you can do with it. I've got a handful of vague ideas, but if you come up with your own solution, like it's not a puzzle for you to solve. You just need to kind of come up with a way to make it cool, to use big magic or something with it. I think you were trying to use big magic before at the diner, and that's what prompted her to say like, oh, I've got this stuff. Like with this, I think we can close the gates. Clearly, it's what can be used at least to open a gate. Maybe you could blow some up just to close everything down.
Yeah, let's do that. Let's use big magic. When maybe bar the would I be can I bar the portal with the red stuff?
I think we're going to get into the more of the use big magic instead of use magic, the big magic of this. I think like if you want to close all the portals, I think you're gonna need some rare and weird ingredients. Like you'll need to like use up this whole jar of dust. Needs to be cast in a particular place. You need to cast it here in this zone. And I think when it goes off, like somebody's gonna have to be here maintaining the spell. And when it goes off, oh, you know what? That's what happens. As you start thinking about it, the dark powers, the dark side that plagues you, starts whispering in your ears, and they're the ones that tell you like what you can do. They actually lay the spell, like they imprint it on your mind. You remember it as if you've been taught it before. You would need to do a spell here while you're stuck in here in the zone. The spell's going to last a short while, and when it's done, it's going to be basically like a nuclear bomb that goes off here, and it's going to like suck everything from this dimension that's leaked out into the nearby world back into it, destroy it, and close off the portals forever. Everything within this world is going to try to stop that from happening, like the frogs, the tendrils. Things are going to feel that it's unnatural and try and drive it out. And so the dark powers, the dark side, tells you this is the perfect opportunity. If you convince Alex, we've read his soul. He is greedy for power and fame. Convince him he would be a hero. Get him to take the canister and run into the mist. We will keep him alive long enough for everyone else to fight their way out. And that like he'll be stuck here. Everybody else get out fine, and all the Froghemoths out in the town will die. The mists will go away, and you'll be able to get back to the world. You just have to give us the kid.
Can I trust them?
Yeah, it's like from the keeper to the hunter for the player. They are absolutely making this promise. If they have their own agenda, they're not going to promise that he's going to be safe after you get out, but they promise that you will at least get out, and it will kind of set things to right here. You just have to sacrifice one kid's life, and they've told you the kid's a dickhead, and you've seen him be kind of shitty.
All right. How do I manipulate the situation then?
You can come up with another solution to try. Like if you don't want to sacrifice the kid, they've given you the spell. You basically just need to make sure the material stays here in the portal. And anybody who's in here with it is going to get caught in the blast. So, like, if you don't want to sacrifice the kid, like they're trying to make you think that's the only option, but Samantha might come up with another way to keep the material here. And it doesn't have to be the one jar you have. It could be the jar that the professor has. Just shooting from the hip. If you could get the Froghemoth to swallow one, like if you could launch it far enough away that nothing could get it out the portal before you do, like set a fuse on it and like throw it 10 miles north, 10 years north.
Could you, well, you're casting magic on it just to create the bomb, right? Okay.
Yeah.
Never mind that.
But she'd also play with the spell. Like, she could do other things too. The spell that she's learned is just how to like use this to basically cancel out the reverberation and like destroy this little pocket dimension.
I didn't know if there was a way to cast a spell to bind it to this place also. Or feed it to a frog that we bind to this place.
Maybe under use magic. So in addition to doing the spell, you might use the banish a spirit or curse from the person, object, or place inhabits. Like basically build a circle around it that none of these things could get through in time, or bar a place or portal to a specific person or type of creatures. So if the way out, the doorway out, if you could make that so nothing could get through it that's from this dimension, then nothing could take it back out. Like, those might be options. Kind of look through your use magic list. There might be things you'd want to do there. It's kind of up to whether or not you want to sacrifice the kid, or if you want to find a solution that doesn't require that.
I mean, we have to destroy the frog behemoth one way or another before we get out.
You can.
Well, I mean, if some get out in the meantime, as long as they don't bring the thing out, they'll die once it blows up, right?
Yeah.
And we're talking about a matter of seconds, 30 seconds or something. It's not going to be like next week sometime. They won't have a rampage.
All right. Let me go ahead and try to miniaturize this frog behemoth as well.
Let's give, like, Josh might have solutions for that thing. Or do you want to kind of switch as you're kind of thinking about whether or not you want to work with the dark side? Switch to Josh and the big one real quick. Josh and the big one. Yeah, like I'm trying to put one conundrum in front of you at a time. So to take the worry of the current Froggy myth off you for at least a moment, let's switch over. She's studying the red powder, and she's kind of lost in reverie as she's talking to the dark side.
Mm-hmm.
What is Atticus doing?
So, scientist is running, trying to get around this thing,
and it's about to eat her, or try to.
And there's me and Daria and cook guy with guns.
Correct.
All right. I'm gonna pull out my gun, my assault rifle.
Rifle or a pistol?
I'm gonna pull out my assault rifle because that's not leaving my side at the moment. And I'll just kind of look to Daria and to the cook. I don't remember his name. Is it Mateo?
Mateo, yeah.
And just be like, all right, guys, let's do this. Merchant Marine, this is your time to shine. And I'll just start taking pot shots at it to buy the scientists some time to get through.
Okay. So you're gonna have no trouble killing it, but the idea is if you actually want to distract it enough to buy her some time, I think we're gonna act under pressure.
Okay, that's the idea. Is that I'm taking shots at it so that its focus is away from her, so that she can get out.
Yeah. So I think you're definitely gonna be able to start nailing it, and you've got between you, shooting, and Mateo and Daria, you're throwing quite a bit of lead of its way. So you're gonna go ahead and shoot guaranteed. You're hitting for 3 harm, right?
Yeah.
This thing is riddled with bullets. As it kind of turns to lurch at her, it's torn up. I think it's right side foreleg and hind leg that it presents to you. Big chunks get blasted out of it. I think as chunks land on the ground, some of those little tendrils kind of latch onto them and grab them, and that's when you notice like they're latching onto it, and you even feel one tugging on your foot maybe a little bit. Everybody in here is kind of getting assaulted by these little things. They're too small to really matter. You tear into it. Give me a roll plus cool to see if it's enough.
As we're doing this, I want to kind of take a side look at Mateo to see if he actually does know what he's doing with a gun.
Yeah. He's I think at least spent time in a gun range. An 8.
Sorry.
She's getting out with the sample.
Mm-hmm.
The Froghemoth's attention is going to turn on one of the 3 of you shooting at it.
Mm-hmm.
I'm giving you the hard choice. You, Daria, or Mateo.
That's not a hard
catches
choice.
its attention. Give me the choice.
If I'm choosing, it's Daria.
Hell yeah.
Actually,
okay.
You know what? I want to play this a different way. If I'm choosing, it's Mateo.
Okay. It turns and snaps. I think Daria is kind of it's probably you, Mateo, Daria, and it kind of just turns its head. It probably like reaches with its neck. It kind of lurches forward a little bit, maybe slips just a bit and doesn't make it as far as it wants. And it's reaching, like its tongue is reaching out toward Daria, and she just backs out of the way. And it clubs into Mateo, and like it just sticks onto the wet. And then he gives a curse and a yell. His merchant marine or Coast Guard sailor talk picks up, and it grabs him and it pulls him into its maw. You hear probably like maybe his back like cracks or breaks. Like it sounds horrible as he just gets sucked into its maw, and it starts kind of chomping at him. Its eyes kind of swirl around, looking at the rest of you. It's for just a moment. It's eating. It's mollified. Let's cut back over and see what. And it's hurt. I mean, it is hurt pretty bad. What is Samantha doing while it's eating Mateo?
So, the Dark Spirit said that none of my peers would get hurt.
And it was specifically talking about Atticus when it said your sidekick.
Oh.
Or was there something else that I had said? When I said sidekick, it meant Atticus. This last time, it basically just told you, like, give the kid the thing, have him run in. It will keep him alive long enough for everybody else to escape. I don't think they didn't promise that everyone would escape. It just said it would be long enough for them all to escape.
Okay. I'm willing to make... Huh?
I'm never mind. You're willing to make what?
I'm willing to make the bargain.
All right.
But I have my own deal. You get rid of the Froghemoth in addition to taking the kid. Fair's fair.
Okay. Do you, when you say this, like, do you say it kind of out loud in the world in a way that others might overhear it? Like maybe they don't even recognize you're hearing it, or is it in the spirit world? Like, are you just kind of standing there because you're not in that zone anymore, the Twilight Zone anymore, right? So are you just kind of shouting it to the world? Do you telepathically say it to them so nobody else hears it? Like, would this ever come back to bite Samantha in the ass, or is it a safe thing for her to do?
No, it's a safe thing for her to do. It's like, even though there's specific moments where it's all black and gray, and their voices can be heard quite vividly, I think that in the Reese's with my brain or like my mind, they can still hear like my thoughts. I know when I'm like I'm trying to reach out to them.
You just feel their contentment, their acceptance. Go ahead and mark an experience point. Because I think that's part of that move on the dark side. If you accept their deal, you get a +1, right?
Mm-hmm.
Your telepathy, your spirit vision, everything kicks in full blast, full strength. It's maybe a little overwhelming because you were getting little bits and pieces of it, but now it's like fully on there again. Almost unprompted by you, it's clearly it's clear to you that the dark powers have coordinated this, but to the casual observer, they have no way of knowing. Alex runs up to you and says, "What can we do? What can we do? We need to stop this thing." He's turning to you for guidance. While you do that, the Froghemoth kind of settles back for just a moment and like chomps, and it's almost like a dog eating peanut butter. Like it's content for just a moment with the Mateo in his mouth.
Okay. I'd probably hand him the jar and tell him that I know what needs to be done, but I need his help to stay out of the way and hold this jar for the moment. And then I was going to run up to Atticus, I guess.
Are you telling him to hold, or I think the spirits were kind of suggesting that you have him run deeper into the swamp? Like take this and just take it over that way. Or do you want him to stand still with it?
No, go ahead and have him run.
And you go over to Atticus, and what are you going to tell him?
I don't know. That this nightmare, I guess, is almost over, and that Jesus needs to just drive as fast as he can.
Drive, Jesus, drive.
Yeah.
Okay. So Atticus, she's saying that she seems very almost fatalistic, or like she knows what's going to happen. And just then, the Froghemoth gives another kind of crunch on Mateo, and then drops his mostly undigested body out of the Froghemoth's mouth. And you get the feeling it would have really wanted to eat him, but something else has caught his attention. And you notice that Daria's daughter has run off after Alex, and the Froghemoth's eyes kind of tracking the both of the kids, and it leaps over you in a powerful bound, kind of going after them. Just as that happens, of course, the two girls that were with Alex, I don't think we named them here, but they were Leia and Mackenzie. They start screaming, "Alex, no! What are you doing?" And Daria's daughter is running, and Daria sees this and says, "Get back here, fool child!" And she runs after her daughter. They're all they're moving away from the portal into the swamp. The two of you and the two teenage girls are kind of standing there. The girls are shouting at Alex, but they're not moving after him.
Her daughter's name is Jane, is that right?
Yeah.
It wasn't before, but
now because of the sidekick. I want to try to manipulate Jane.
Okay.
And I want to shout at her. Actually, I want to use my move here. What will convince her to do what I want? I want her to come back with us and sprint out the gate.
Nice. Kind of peppered throughout. One of her big qualities is she's a skeptic. Like she's had trouble believing this stuff is happening, but she's not like irrational. She's not rejecting it. And I think maybe the fact that like the physics lab, like it's clearly just science she doesn't understand. It's not magic. It's not spooky shit. So she's starting to kind of get to grasp that. And watching him run off, like she wants to go save the day, or she doesn't want him to get lost in this. If you could convince her that her like she's putting herself, but also her mother at risk. Like your mom's not gonna let you get lost in there.
Yeah.
Like as she's starting to take off, you have a moment if you want to reach out and grab her or whatever you want to do. Like as they start to bolt, or you can just shout after her. That would probably be.
I want to grab her to try and turn her towards me so she's looking at me as I'm talking to her. If I can reach her.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you definitely can. It's still gonna be manipulate someone, but you
Right.
know the way in now.
So I'm going to stop her and grab her and just spin her around and say, "Kid, you and your mom need to get out of here. This is not the place for you. You need to go back to the real world. This is not the place for you."
Nice.
I'll probably lean in and tell her, like, we got this. We'll get him. You guys just go through the portal.
So should I roll plus charm?
Plus charm. And Sam's in a position to aid if needed.
Right.
Although it won't be necessary. I'm trying to think, there's no +1s coming into this, so you're not at 9 to roll to a 10.
Where
she looks to you. Oh, go ahead.
I was gonna say, what's my result looking like with an 8? I don't remember. I manipulate somebody.
7 to 9, they'll do it, but only if you do something for them right now to show that you mean it.
Okay.
If you ask too much, they'll tell you what. If anything, it would take them to do it.
Okay.
So you haven't asked too much, right? We established with your other move that this is exactly what she needs. She looks to you, and she looks to the M16 that you're holding, the assault rifle that's still a little bit of smoke wisping out of the barrel. And she says, "You just want to shoot her as soon as we get out of here." She says, kind of looks after the kid, looks to you, looks to her mom, and says, "Both of you, drop your fucking guns and let's jump through that now, or I'm going to go get him." And she draws that ultimatum, like, you both need to disarm, and she'll do it.
How far are we from the gate, and how strong is this kid? Like, how big is this kid?
I'm going to say, I think she's probably.
They were looking at colleges, right?
She's 18. She's going to college. I think she's Daria's kid. She's probably fairly athletic. She probably can run and do stuff, but she's an 18-year-old kid. You could overpower her, I think. Or what's your strength?
I'm a 0 on tough.
You're probably kind of right there with her. She's younger than you, probably a little bit quicker than you. Probably about equal strength, but you're heavier.
I'm going to look to Daria, and all this is happening really quickly. I say, "Daria, we dropping weapons, or are you grabbing an arm?"
I think that's kind of a good short momentary cliffhanger, as you're both like reaching for the arms, like one hand on the gun, almost lowering it, the other hand on her arm, like, which way are we going on this? Let's cut to Sam and see what she's doing real quick, and then we'll resolve that.
I'm sorry.
There's the 2 high school kids, or the whole Daria and Jane thing.
Have they already started heading to the portal, though, or not yet?
There's a little standoff with Atticus and Daria and Jane, and then the 2 girls are kind of just rooted in spot. I think one of them is actually looking down at the suckers attacking her shoes, and like keeps ripping her feet up and screaming and like trying to jump on things, but everywhere she goes, she like jumps onto a mossy stone, and suckers get her there too. The other one's just like looking, probably holding her crucifix. Mackenzie looking after Alex, like she's thinking about going after him too, but she's not brave enough.
I think I'd probably just yell at them, like, "What are you guys doing, you morons? There isn't much time left. The portal's about to close any moment now. You need to run through. We'll take care of Alex. We'll find him. But your safety is most important first and foremost. So leave now."
With Leia, you can tell like she's convinced, and she starts like plucks her feet up and starts like rushing toward the portal. Mackenzie's not quite convinced. I think we're looking to manipulate someone to get her to go with you. If you really care to like make her come with you.
Charm. Okay.
So this is kind of going on concurrently with the other conversation.
Boo.
Mark an experience point. She looks to you. She kind of grabs that cross around her neck, and she says, "You're going to abandon him. You want to leave. You're not going after him. He needs help." And she takes like 4 or 5 steps into the swamp, and you hear the voices start kind of laughing in the back, and they say, "That was not our doing, but we'll take it." And just as they say that, the fog kind of closes in behind her. Like, you don't see her get attacked, but just like a bank of fog rolls between the two of you, and her footfalls like kind of get lost in the damp surroundings, and she's gone. What's Samantha do?
You fool!
Probably lean in and into the conversation with Atticus and Daria, and tell them that you asked us to keep her safe, and we have so far. But now she's in your custody, and it's your responsibility now to keep her safe. We've told you to leave, and you're just playing a fool now. You want to keep her safe. Get her through that portal. Don't worry about the others. We'll take care of them. I know
Daria kind of looks. She looks to you. She doesn't care about Alex, but she looks to you. She looks to her daughter. She looks to Atticus. You could tell Atticus that Daria doesn't trust you, and she almost expects that your gun's gonna be pointed at her back as soon as she does this. But she looks to her daughter and says, "Honey, I love you." And she ejects the magazine, racks it, like knocks the bullet out. And she's holding on 307, so it's a wheel gun. So she opens the cylinder, spins it, and like knocks the bullets out, and then hurls the gun into the swamp, and grabs your daughter's home, and says, "We've got a different campus to visit," and just starts trudging out, presenting you this target. Like, she's gonna be trouble later, but she's disarmed for now. What's Atticus doing?
Well, I don't want to mess up the mechanics of the game, but this is a direction I was going with this. So the reason I had the monster eat Mateo and not Daria, and the reason I didn't just let her kid run away and have her chase it, is because one of the improvements I can take is gain an ally, one of your old crew.
Nice.
And I thought narratively it could be pretty cool if I can turn her around and convince her to be in our crew instead of in De La Grossa's crew. But is that breaking the fact that she came via a luck use? Like, is that supposed to just be an adversary that goes on and on and on?
No. Everything kind of happens is subject to further narrative fiction. If you end up in a position where you could convert her, it's all there.
And if I screw up rolls or something to where I make a charm roll and I fail it and it doesn't work, I can take some other improvement. Like, I'm not wedded to this. I just think I want to try to go for this. And if I can pull it off, that would be a cool one to take. I
think, I kind of like that direction. I was picturing, the reason I was going to have her kid run off and her go with her was I figured in 4 or 5 episodes, having Daria, the swamp survivor, come back looking for you, or her kid died and she blames you, or she and her kid got out and they have some secret information about something. Like, I figured it'd be a cool thing to have come back around in 5 episodes. But I like that direction too. There really is no long-term plan, just ideas that come up. So I think she actually starts whistling that same song that she was whistling as she came into the diner, and grabs her daughter's hand and starts walking through the fog. They're just behind Leia. I think she actually kind of has pushed past and gotten out. You're both there. Mateo's body is down below. Off in the distance, there's kind of a muffled explosion, and there's like a red light. You know how when you shine your bright lights into fog, it gets blinding, right? Because it reflects so much light. This bright red spot fulfills, and you know it's the contraption, the spell that you cast on that red dust, Samantha. It's detonating. The spell is going off, and everything in here is about to get caught. You and Atticus now have the perfect moment to, like, do you walk out and not look back at the explosion? Do you have a mad scramble to get out on time? Like, you're going to make it. We're not going to roll under fire or anything or act under pressure. But what's it look like as you two make it out just ahead of, like, the closure? We'll start with Sam and then ask Atticus.
I think I kind of see, like, every single movie that you've ever seen where there's an explosion in the background, where they're, like, running out as fast as they can, and then they, like, jump out in that slow action movie as they fall with a big explosion in the background.
Very good. And
can I add one thing to it?
Of course.
As we're running towards the gate, something shiny catches my eye on the ground, and somehow, some way, by the rift of this realm and our realm overlapping, I see a phone on the ground. And I scoop it up and grab it as we run through the portal.
And it's Alex's phone specifically?
Yeah.
Okay. Just to be sure. Yeah, you can totally scoop the phone up. I think as you go through the portal is starting to close. There's this eruption, this how would you call it? The concussive wave at the front of an explosion, right? You come leaping through, and I think you're caught by this, like, burst of pressure. As you pop through, you're both kind of thrown to your knees. You're in the hallway of a community college, and this big wall of mud gets sprayed. It blasts you across your back, sprays the wall, and I think there's even a moment where, like in Pompeii, when, or I guess like in Hiroshima, where people were standing in front of walls, and there's like a shadow left in the wall. Like, you both see in front of you, like, the clean wall outline where, like, you've blocked them. This mud sprays off, the hole shuts closed, and then there's just an ambient. It doesn't come from any particular source. I think maybe with enough investigation, we'd find that it's every particle of the other dimensional stuff just takes on a dim red glow for just a moment. So there's so much crap in the hallway. The whole hallway kind of takes on a red glow for just a moment, like a flare, and then it goes out. And you're all clean. There's no mud. There's no smell. None of the frog blood is left on you. I think Atticus is clutching the phone in one hand, the rifle in the other. You're kind of on your knees. Look up and see Daria walking down the hall, like about to leave with her kid. She's limping. She's got that bad legs. Her kid's kind of propping her up, I think. And the professor and the other girl, Leia, are long gone. You're in the hallway, and I think there's. Do either of you have a quip as the episode closes? Any resound? You guys want to go car shopping, or are you running late to your appointment? And
yeah, where were we even headed again?
You're going, like, to El Paso or somewhere in Texas, I think. Oh, I think maybe what we show is as the doors open, as Daria leaves, the cameras kind of follow them out the doors, and it's just blue skies. The grounds outside are wet, but they're just green grass, and we see, like, the sprinkler pass over. There is a wrecked RV just to the front of the building. Any damage that was done is still done. People that were killed are still killed, but there's no frog remains. I think even the hole where the big 6 to 8 foot wide tentacle came out, that hole is just like a kind of depression in the grass, a little bit dug up, but there's no, like, body left behind.
Oh, I know. I'm gonna lean to Atticus and go, "Hey, you think you can manipulate? You think you can manipulate the insurance policy claim on this, Jesus?"
Oh, I work in mysterious ways.
Very good. Like mysterious ways, and the camera closes out. It's probably a tinny like 50s old song playing it out. Let's cut to the end of session, and we also have at least one advance that you can take, Atticus. And I'm not sure where are we, because after you've go ahead and like unmark that 5 XP and then mark any you have left over, like they do spill over.
I don't know if I had any other ones. Let me look, because I think the big fail that I had was what pushed me over, because it's 6 or less, right?
Yeah, any 6 or less.
So it's just the one that they pushed me to 5.
Let's see. I'm showing the 4 for you, and then Samantha, you got a 4. And then Samantha, you also accepted the deal. Did you mark an experience when you accepted the deal from the dark side?
Yeah.
Okay. So you both should be kind of caught up on where your XP are now, and then we answer 4 questions. Did you conclude the current mystery?
Yes.
Did you save someone from certain death or worse?
We caused some death.
Yes.
Some people died, but some people lived that would have died.
Yeah.
Did you learn something new and important about the world?
I think we learned that there's sort of a mix of science and the supernatural.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like that. Okay.
A little more X-Files-y than our other mystery was.
Yeah.
I dig that. And then we learned something new and important about one of the hunters.
Mm.
I'm thinking right off the bat that Samantha accepted a deal to sacrifice the kid, who was at best just a little bit of a shit, or at worst. He really wasn't that offensive, but she was willing to let him go. So I think there's 4 yeses, but it's either 3 or 4. You get both experience. So either way, you get 2.
So you get 2.
Yep.
Right.
So mark 2 XP, and then Josh, feel free to take whatever advance looks good to you. If you want to gain an ally, one of your old crew. Let me just look at crew.
Yeah, I guess I don't know if that would work with Daria anyways, because she might be more powerful than that allows.
No. You definitely can take her. I'm just because there's a move called crew that you could have had and you didn't, and that would give you 3 or 4 people who help you out with pretty much anything. This counts as a team. So she's basically going to act like you're going to have a crew of 1 with her. She's going to have her own motivations, her own like you're not going to play her as a PC or like a pet to your PC, but she'll be available and she'll work with or for you. She'll be generally loyal to you. Because you're taking this as an advance, it's not going to be something that I would use to have she'll easily betray you or she'll easily die. Spending an advance on this is a lot more. If you lose a gun, you can get a new gun, but she's got more plot armor. She's a person if she disappears, it's going to be significant. So
okay, let me think about whether I'm going to do that or whether I'm going to do something else. But I'll let you know at any rate well enough before the next session, so that if you need to consider it.
Very cool. If we do want to go with the crew, if you do want to do that, also think about whether or not she works for Jeeves also, or if she's kind of she doesn't right now, right? But would you introduce her to the company? Would she travel with you, or is she somebody that would fly out and meet you? Think about how much, if you want her in every episode, or if you just want her as somebody you can call in when needed.
Got it.
That'd be the thing. Good deal. Any questions for me, Jessica?
Mm-mm.
No. Very good. Well, a conclusion to the Wet Willies. I used a document called Creature Feature. It's trying to get a term for it, like a pre-generated adventure from the Google Plus community. I'm going to share a link where you can kind of see what was written down on it. I'll change it, share it in the Roll20. If you have any interest, you can find it there. That's kind of what it provided, and everything else just kind of gets spun out of that. So you're welcome to look at that, or you can even find it by Googling it.
Cool. I'll check it out for sure.
Good deal. Well, I'm going to stop the broadcast.